Turns out it wasn't, so it was a little hard to hear, so I want to make sure I'm heard in the back of the room. Lois is giving me the thumbs up. We'll call that a good omen. Thank you everyone for coming out today. It's hard to get people out of their houses on a snowy afternoon in February, but you came out. This is a tremendous turnout, and it's a very good sign for the coming election. In Simcoe North, we have gone through what feels like a very long period of conservative domination. But it really hasn't been as long as it seems. The Conservatives play a very strong mental game in this riding. They try and convince us that this riding's always been conservative, and Bruce has always been our MP, and we just better resign ourselves to that. Important things to keep in mind when you leave this room and you go to talk to people in the community. Bruce has been MP now for less time than Paul Devlair, his Liberal predecessor, had been. If you look at this riding over the course of the last few decades, the Liberal years still outnumber the Conservative years. And when you actually poll people in this riding, when you talk to them, you discover there is not a huge Conservative base. They make up about a third of the population. So this raises the question, why haven't we been winning? As much as we have a very large progressive base in this riding, it sometimes splinters in several different directions. But even worse, they get discouraged. They are convinced there's no way we can win, so when election day rolls around, they say, I think I'm just going to stay at home today and watch a rerun of 2.5 Men, because we all know what's going to happen, there's no point in coming out. To win in Simcoe North, we need to give people hope. And that is the challenge that's before us today. We've already seen a portent of what the Conservatives are going to campaign on locally. Those of you that read the local papers in Orillia might have seen an exchange between me and Bruce Stanton recently. I asked him to reinstate the census, saying that his argument that as a matter of privacy he couldn't reinstate it was ridiculous, especially as the government's now looking at rather invasive legislation to invade people's privacy in one field, but ticking a box which says whether you're male or female or whether or not you have so many people in your household, that's just the line we can't cross. I challenged him on that. And his response was to come back with fear. He somehow twisted a debate on the census into a discussion of terrorism. How we need to beware of, quote unquote, the jihadi terrorist threat. And I thought to myself, how did we get from the census to this? Now here's the good news. They're campaigning on terror because they're terrified. It is the only card they have left to play. When they look at their record locally and nationally, they don't have a lot to stand on. And they have nothing to give people hope. They are playing the last card in their deck. They are going to play it well, and they're going to make it hard for us. But we can win. So, what do we have to do locally? And what do we need of our candidate and our, hopefully, future MP? The first thing we need to do is have a strong local advocate. I've been involved with the party for many years, and whenever I go down to Toronto or Ottawa and I discuss with people various affairs from the area, the first thing is this, where are you from? And I say, oh, I'm from Simcoe County, and they go, oh, which part of Barrie do you live in? And when I explain to them I don't live in Barrie, they go, well, how far out from Barrie are you? 5 minutes? 10? The idea that this is a vast community sometimes escapes people beyond our region. Orillia is not part of the GBA, the Greater Barrie Area. It is a community in its own right, as are the other municipalities and small towns. We need someone that's going to be able to advocate to the party that we can win in this riding, and when they're elected, they're going to have to make sure that we get noticed, that people think that providing support to the Barrie area is not the same as supporting all of Simcoe County, the north and particularly for us. One of the other things we're going to have to deal with, and this is one of the reasons why I'm running, is we're going to have to deal with the oncoming crisis that's coming to this area. There's a demographic shift. We have seen stagnation in this community at this end of the riding and outright decline at the other end of the riding towards Midland Penetang. This has resulted in a lot of our young professionals leaving the area, young families packing up and moving, because they can't find work, or the work they can find isn't enough to live on. When you hear statistics in the news saying that unemployment's gone down, what they're not telling you is we're still hemorrhaging full-time jobs on a regular basis, but they're making those up in part-time jobs. Anyone that's transitioned from a full-time job to a part-time job will tell you that is not an improvement. And we've seen a lot of that in this region. I'm going to pick on Trevor over there a little bit, who came out today. Trevor's here today, and I'm really glad he was able to come. His wife isn't able to come because she's packing up their stuff. After unsuccessfully trying to find work in this area that would afford them the life that they're hoping to build together, they've had to leave because the work they could find was more towards the Toronto area. I wish I could say that they were the only people in the area, but that's not true. Yesterday, I had dinner with my brother. He now lives in Toronto because exactly the same thing happened to him. He's making 3 times in Toronto what he would make if he had stayed in our community. If we are going to have a community and a generation that's going to pick up the torch, that's going to build the small businesses, that's going to provide the services that we need to be vibrant in the next 10 or 20 years, we need to start that now. It's my generation, and it's a cause I feel passionately about. And if you select me as your candidate and I'm successful in becoming MP, I will be a strong advocate for that. Electorally, we have other challenges as well. We have to actually inspire people to get out the vote. In many of the small towns across Simcoe North, there are a number of Liberals, but they all think that they're the only Liberal in town. I introduced 3 Liberals to each other on Warminster the other day, and they were absolutely shocked that there was actually 3 Liberals on Warminster. They thought that that was fantastic. And so now I have them advocating, trying to find others. Now that they know that they're not the only ones, they're building a team. We need to have teams not only in Orillia or Midland or Penetang. We need to have small teams working in every small town to win this riding. I have the experience in organization to recruit those people and to put that organization in place tomorrow, because we're going to have to start campaigning very quickly if we are going to take this riding. We can't wait till the fall. The campaign begins now. I've been active in Liberal politics in this riding for close to 20 years. As association president, the last 6, I led us through the hardest years to be a Liberal in this riding, when everyone was convinced our party was just going to disappear, that we weren't even going to be here in 2015. I did everything I could to keep us strong and make sure we had a good organization that when the opportunity presented itself would be able to win. And I'm happy to say we have that today. It's evidenced by what we've created here right now. I've worked tirelessly for every candidate in the last 2 decades. Paul DeValera, Fred Larson, Steve Clark, Karen Graham, and numerous others. Because even when the fight looked hopeless, every battle is a learning opportunity. We have grown stronger. So when anyone tries to tell you that somehow we can't take on the Conservatives locally, just shake your head and smile and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Because getting that message out in the community is how we're going to win. Now we're riding high on Justin Trudeau's leadership. And there's lots of people that are coming to the fore and coming back to the party. And some people want to lead us through into the next campaign, but they don't have the experience. Politics is a difficult learning curve. And if we're going to win, we need someone that can start right away. I am that person. I believe in hard work, and I have a reputation of dedication. When I was asked to be Justin's regional chair during his leadership campaign, it wasn't because I'm a glamorous guy. I've usually done the least glamorous jobs in campaign, the hardest jobs. They picked me because I've spent years building connections on the ground in this area, and I'm known for getting things done. And that's what I did for him, and that's what I'll do for you if you select me as your candidate. Wilfrid Laurier, I'm paraphrasing him here, has a quote that I'm rather fond of. He encouraged us to choose faith over doubt, love over hate, And in that spirit, I'm going to ask all of you to please have faith in me. Thank you very much.